Well, hi everybody, the rain's finally coming to an end. Let's finish up the retaining wall project. Well, thanks for joining me everybody as we finish up this retaining wall project. Boy, that tarp sure did a nice job, didn't it? We got a lot of rain, but look at how dry everything is. So let me give you an overview of where we're at right now. We've torn it down as far as I want to tear it down, and we started to rebuild it. There'll be a drain tile in here on top of that 1-inch clean rock. It'll have a sock on it. Then I'll use 1-inch clean, and I'll use some landscape fabric as a protection to keep that unplugged. So let me try to explain my method here of rebuilding this. The fourth row from the bottom is right where I want it. It has a nice lean back to it, and you can kind of see it in the joint there. I'm going to restack these top 3 or 4. Now look at the gap between the bottom arrow and the top arrow. It's showing that that wall is tilting back, and that's what I want. I did the same process on the wall to the left last year, and it's performing very well.
So it's going to be 3 shims, 2 shims, 2 shims, and maybe 1 shim. And that should take everything out of what my wall was doing. Now you might think I'm compromising that lip that's in this design, but when I measure back here, I believe there's plenty of lip.
So in other words, I'm going to tilt that wall back an 1/8 inch per run over 4 runs and pick up about a 1/2 inch. Now remember, as I start stacking them, there's a top and a bottom to these blocks. There's a lip right there, and then there's a lip here, and I'll show it to you a little closer. You want to be sure you have that block in their proper position. So let's stop the tape here. There you are. See it? So you want to make sure that lip goes against the other lip. And what I would do is just wiggle it into place. I would put a shim under the point where the 2 blocks meet, so it bridges across each one and continues that lifting or tilting back that I'm after. When I have it properly installed, I look for a tight vertical joint, and then I put a level on top, measure and level left to right, and then I also check the tilt backwards, and I make sure that information is carried through the whole wall. Hope that makes sense. To save my back a little bit, rather than tear the whole wall down and rebuild it, I'm going to correct it on the left side, remove it from the right side, and roll it over rather than try to pick these things up. I'm going to roll them over to my new position, and then I've run a string a couple times just to make sure I'm staying true to where I want to be when this is all done. But boy, this really helps with the back and the sciatica issues when I can roll it over there, then fill them up. Here's a close-up of that shim I was telling you about that's going to be used to bridge the 2. This is kind of a poor picture, but I'm just going to wrestle it in here, get it into place, and then I'm going to put the shim on the right side, and then I'll check all my joints, and if I'm happy with it and it's snug and resistant, then I'll go ahead and fill it up with gravel and continue. Again, I'll also check my level both ways. So I put my shim in, nice and snug, check the levels, move on. So I got a little too high now to keep that method going, so I thought I would bring the tractor in with the forks. Here's some of the blocks that I hauled away. Now that I've got it up there about boot height, so now it's a lot easier for me to lift. I can just pick them up one course, get it on top, and then build it going that way, trying to eliminate that doggone lifting. So here's another way. I thought if I put that fork in there parallel to that wall, maybe I can just put 1 foot on that pallet and transfer them over to the wall. I'm always a little cautious of this because I had a acquaintance killed while riding on a set of forks at a construction site. The forks failed, and for a reason they were never able to duplicate, the forks just dropped like a hangman's door, and he was killed. So, you know, once you experience something like that, you kind of carry that through life. So I don't put people on forks. I don't lift people. In this case, I'm trying to measure that risk a little bit. All right, trying to get some rock in here, and rather than wheelbarrow it or do anything else, I thought if I can get in there just right, maybe I can dump that gravel into those hollow blocks. Didn't quite work out that way, so my wife's going to pull it in. And this sure beats a wheelbarrow or hand bucketing it in. At least I can get the materials up there, and then look, you just scoop them in there like you're filling candy jars. So I just moved the tractor over, and it really worked out quite well. So we're moving right along. Here's a picture of the backside of the wall. We're starting, look to the right, we're starting our top final course, and we're putting the cap on. And here's a view from the other side, so you can see it's starting to finish out. It looks pretty nice. Where the wall goes under the rock veneer, I'm leaving a nice big gap there, so if the wall does move because of frost, it's not going to damage any of that rock that I have on there. Now I'm using a construction adhesive that's approved for the top cap. I'm watching my fingers. I don't have to make any cuts as the wall is pretty straight. As we move over to the left, it takes a curve on, and we're going to have to cut each cap. So let's go get some more blocks. And I thought, well, rather than take that whole pallet over, why don't I just run the forks through the block, take them over, and see how this is going to work. Wow, this is working pretty nice. Now if I can just tap, whoops, slow down. Just lower those forks a little bit and then ease that last one off. This is going to work out pretty good. I'll just bring over 2 or 3 at a time. So that works out very well, doesn't it? Nice. Now I don't have to monkey around with the pallets or anything. So I took the dump trailer over to the quarry and picked up a couple loads of 1-inch clean. This kind of gets to be the fun part. There's the drain tile, and I'm holding it in place with a piece of block that I broke. Now my plan's to fill it up. So as I drive towards the trench, I'm conscious of I never disturb that ground that the front wheels are on, so it's solid. It's not fill. I don't expect the tractor to slide forward. It's in my mind, but I think the risk is very low. I don't want to slide into that new wall we just put back up with the bucket and tear it apart. So just keep that in mind as you're going up to those trenches. So what I'm doing here is pouring that 1-inch clean right up against that wall. I don't want it to hold any water near that wall. I'm also filling outward. Oh, that's probably 2 to 3 feet. So I'm putting a porous substance 2 to 3 feet behind that wall, so it just can't hold any water. If we had a 2 or 3 inch rain, then it would be taken right down to my drain tile and taken away. I've had good luck doing it this way. This is the way I did my entire house foundation, and I've never had to drop water in my home. Well, now we need to tear out that curve where it angles backwards. You can see behind the backhoe, I've got everything filled in, the drain tile's in, 1-inch clean rocks on top of it, and then there's soil on it. So if we do get any storms, at least I've got that secure. So now we're going to use the thumb here to remove the rest of these blocks, and then we'll start building it. I stubbed out my drain tile right there, yet I haven't figured out where I'm going to go with that, how I want to get that to daylight. We'll get that figured out here in a minute. So I've got new base stone in place. I'm starting to make my turn, and now it's time to start taking the back off of those blocks so that it'll make the radius that I want. I just use a cold chisel here like this, strike it several times like that, and then go through one more time, and it usually breaks right off. Oh, I can't see a thing here. That sun moves south, in the fall and the winter. It's right in my face. I can't see a darn thing. So I'm counting on my wife there to steer me in, and then I'll dump it, and she'll try to fill up the blocks we just put in place. Now with the blocks full, I'm going to go ahead and fill that wall on the back side. You can see my drain tile laying in there with the sock. And we're going to cover that up and continue. You can see to the right of my wife there, dirt's in the ground. You can't see the fabric mat that I put under that dirt, between the dirt and the rock, but it's there. So now I'm trying to figure out the exit. So I'm going to change the terrain here a little bit and see where I can get that to keep its slope. I carry, I think, about 1/8 per foot of drop. And that red arrow is pointing where the drain tile stopped for now. And I'm trying to figure out how I get it and keep that pitch away from the walls so the water will run. So my wife went and got a section of drain tile. Years ago, you had to buy this stuff in 50-foot rolls, and now you can buy it in 10-foot lengths. So that's pretty nice. And you can buy the sock separately and pull it over the drain tile. Keeps the cost down a little bit. Here's what we decided to do. That's got a real steep pitch on it. So connected it to the existing, brought it over, and the water's really going to run out of there if it ever sees any water. I doubt it ever will. So we're going to cover that up with 1-inch clean. Then we're going to add some soil here to anchor in the end of that wall. That's the end of the wall you're looking at there. So I want to I like to bury those lower courses to help anchor it into the hillside a bit. So look at the red arrow. We've only got 2 courses of block, so that's only about 16 inches to the top. So that's why I'm putting a layer of fabric liner here to separate that clean rock even more. So since it's so shallow, I'm going to take extra precautions to keep that filter real clean. As I watch this video, I wonder if I had the tractor, if I didn't have the tractor loader backhoe, would I be doing this? It'd be absolutely not. Couldn't do this by hand. And then I asked myself, well, would I hire it done? I don't know. You're going to see the cost savings at the end, and I think you're going to agree with that number on what we saved. Well, let's get some shout-outs in here. I really appreciate people checking in with me. Had a lot of conversation on what tooth bar to select for my bucket. I appreciate that. Jameson and Damien checked in and said hi. Don checked in from North Carolina. He's about 2-3 miles east of where Everything Attachments is made in Conover. Boy, I'd hate to live near there. I'd be down there all the time. Guy'd always be broke, wouldn't you? Jim from Dubuque across town said hello. Chris from Minnesota, he's on the road and took us along down in Charleston, South Carolina, working apparently. Eric from Atwater, California. He got a Wicked grapple 3 years ago and said he just loves it. Eric checked in from Easley, South Carolina. That's 100 miles northeast of Atlanta. Dan in Illinois, hi. Mark in Lafayette, Indiana, hi. Drew over in Forester, Ohio. That's about 60 miles southeast of Toledo, if I'm correct. Dean from West Virginia, he said I wasn't a very good shot trying to shoot at that big buck. Bill checked in from Wisconsin. SRJ, he recommended the Pariah tooth bar, said it really turns it into a digging machine. I'm going to check into that. MJF also recommended the Piranha bar, said it took 6 weeks, but it really increased the bucket capacity. Doug, hi, out in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. That's 50 east of Pittsburgh. And CD out in California, he's got the big expanded tooth bar. He said in some situation that thing's better than his backhoe. So I'm really getting interested here. And I'll be looking for those down at the Louisville Tractor Show in a couple weeks. Around Valentine's week, that's when that show's going on, and I'm going to go down, shoot some video, and I've been down there a couple times, so I'll get that posted here too. Well, you can see we're finishing up the final grading. The bucket's working real nice. I'm excited next spring to get in there and seed that, pulverize it, and get the grade into a swell type of design. You know what I'm talking about. Everything. Here's some pictures of the way I'm leaving it for the winter, and excited about next spring. Thanks for watching, everybody. The next video we're going to get out is going to be from the Louisville Tractor Show. And if you haven't been there, I really encourage you to go there someday. It's a lot of fun to see. All right, project cost savings. I think I avoided hiring 3 guys, tractor, backhoe, maybe dump truck, trailer. I honestly think the tractor saved me $6,000 doing it myself. So that's another payback of owning a tractor. Well, if a helicopter flies over your house, take a look up. It might be the Today in Iowa helicopter. Dr. Mark, I'm looking for hangar space right now at the airport. So long, everybody. I'm going to have some fun with this.